We are talking about Muskoka Wharf, and if you're not sure where Muskoka is, it's north of here. Okay? Where the wharf is actually in a town called Gravenhurst, and Gravenhurst really is the entry point to Muskoka. It's about 90 minutes north of here, unless there's traffic, in which case you have to add another half an hour or so. I've done it in a Learjet and a lot faster than that, but it is about 90 minutes to 2 hours up there. But Gravenhurst really is the gateway, and really if you don't already know this about the Muskoka Wharf, it's a joint private and public $170 million development. They've reclaimed all the lands around the wharf and making it to really be one of the most spectacular locations. And Muskoka in general has recently been decreed as the most popular destination for vacations in the world. That's saying something, okay? When they surveyed worldwide. So without boring you about that, let's talk specifically about the residents at Muskoka Wharf. Now, the residence at Muskoka Wharf is a condominium. It's a whole ownership condominium. So we're talking about, this is fully built. This exists right now. It's been there for several years now, and it is a condo. So each unit is actually individually owned, but it is managed as a hotel. So all of the units are in the hotel pool. We are talking about individual condo suites, and these suites were actually available, and quite a few sold several years ago when the project was first conceived. And the opportunity now is at pricing that's 30% off the original selling price. The unit, as we said, is managed and rented by the hotel when you're not there. So it really is turnkey. It's not timeshare. It's a full deeded ownership. It's not timeshare or fractional. You own the unit and you can sell it at any time. The only difference between this and a traditional condo is that the unit must be in the rental pool for the hotel, but you get 5 weeks of personal use. Now we'll get into the detail about that, but let's talk about the different sizes. You have a choice of a studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 bedroom. Now you can have a glance at the prices, and you're welcome to write them down, but we're going to give you a package with all of the prices with the different sizes and availabilities and so on. Okay? So here's an example of a studio suite. All of them are furnished exactly the same style with the same furniture. And the maintenance fees that go along with the ownership of the condo include a reserve, which will take care of updating the furniture, updating the televisions, updating all of that. So you can expect that every, 8 to 10 to 12 years, they're going to need to update the artwork or the furniture or all of that. It's all budgeted for in the reserve fund and the maintenance fees. And in fact, with anybody own a traditional condo, a regular condo ever in the past? Well, with a regular condo, you pay something called a maintenance fee. Now, there are maintenance fees payable for the units, but you don't actually pay them out of pocket as an owner. The hotel manages, generates all the revenue, collects all of that, takes care of the maintenance fees, and actually generates a net check for each of the individual owners, prorated based on size. Okay? And since opening, they've been in positive cash flow every single month. And obviously, when you look at high season like right now, there's higher income, higher occupancy than there would be in low season. But they're sitting at around, I think the actual figure is in the 60s in terms of occupancy for year-round. Of course, in the summer, they're closer to 100% occupancy. Okay? So here's an example of a studio. Here's an example of a 1-bedroom suite. And there's various positions within the building. The building's actually kind of an L shape. And there's various positions available depending on the floor plan. So if you actually had a preference for this view or that view, then you could figure that out. Okay? Here's a 2-bedroom suite. Again, when you look at, and if you're thinking about using it for your own family, I would buy the smallest size really that made sense for your own use, because at the end of the day, your income is going to be based on the size that you buy. Again, we can help you figure out what would be the best size or mix depending on what your personal use is. We have quite a few people that are interested that are pure investors, never want to go there, have their own place. We have others that are really looking at using it for their own use and for their family and so on. But one of the challenges, of course, is actually arranging visits, which we would do midweek. The most logical explanation being that they're fully occupied in the weekends. It's tough to get you into the actual units themselves other than during midweek. Okay? So we've covered the 1, 2, 3. Now let's go through some of the most common questions. Why 35 days usage? Well, there's a technical reason for that relative to how financing would work, but the more practical reason is because on average, most cottage owners themselves rarely go up more than 35 days. they're using it this weekend and that weekend, and when we tallied it all up, that's kind of the average. But the interesting thing about that is you can use it, there's no limitations other than you can only have up to 14 days in a row. So they wouldn't want somebody, for example, taking all of the month of August. But you could take 14 days in a row, you could take 2 days here, 1 week there, you could really do whatever you want, and you can change it up year after year. And subject to availability, even if you had something booked, you could also change it. And everything goes into a rental pool. What does that mean? Well, let's say, for example, there was 98% occupancy, but my unit that day was empty. Well, everybody's revenues go into the pool, costs are taken out, and everybody gets an average. So whether your actual unit is rented or not, it's based on an average of the rental for the building. So it is earning income day after day, even when you're not there. And there is an exchange pool in Interval International, which is optional for the owners. So say, for example, you're an owner here, and you've got 35 days usage, but you're planning a trip to go to Vail, or you want to go to the Bahamas. You could take a week use here and exchange it in one of the I don't know, tens of countries, 50, 60, 70 different countries and thousands of locations that the Marriott lives. And maintenance and revenue, let's go through that again. So again, the maintenance fees, you don't actually pay out of pocket. They're covered by the hotel. They're managed for you. And you get a statement with here are your expenses, here was the total revenue for the building, here's the total net revenue, and then it's broken down based on the square footage. And it's paid out, so obviously the 2-bedroom suites that are larger get a bigger check than the studio suites that are smaller, etc. And financing is available depending on the suite and depending on your personal situation if required. You can buy with cash, of course. You can also get some financing arranged. You can also use equity in your own home, depending on your situation. And we've got a lender in place through Dominion Lending that can answer those questions one-on-one. Okay? There is another building, part of the same development, that's not part of the hotel. So if you wanted a regular condo that you could live in year-round, we still have, I believe, 4 suites left. And the pricing is there because we had a reservation on several of those. And these are much larger suites, 1,275 to 1,815 square feet. If you're curious about one of those, please let us know. We'll get you much more information, get you the floor plans.